Hello everyone, thank you for turning on the blue light. Ladies and gentlemen, is Dr. Nandi Pamagodumana guilty or not guilty of doing all the things that she's accused of? Because I don't understand, how do we get to a point of discussing her abduction or whatever it is that happened in Tanzania? You know what I mean? Because she entered Tanzania illegally, so she didn't even have a passport that was valid. She didn't have any passport that was stamped. So that is proof that she entered the country illegally. So, and then now she wants to come out and put up an act to say, I was abducted, or we used our taxes money to go and get her from Tanzania, and then now she comes to say she was abducted. Because like I've said before, that this whole Dr. Nandi Pafragas is just a cover-up, for bigger things that are happening in the country. Remember in March what happened when Thabo Mbeki released the letter to the government asking about the Phala farm? Was that letter answered? Did we ever give that letter attention? Because in that letter, there were so many important things that needed to be discussed. And then here we are discussing Dr. Nandipa's abduction, And then the very same March, again, I'm repeating myself, AKA the Legacy wrote the letter to President Cyril Ramaphosa. Now ask yourself this, why didn't Cyril Ramaphosa address the two letters? Because the country was concerned. But then what we got is Dr. Nandi Pamagodumana and Thabo Besta's series. So this brings me to my point, which is the whole story of Dr. Nandi and Thabo Besta was just a cover-up by the politicians. You know what I mean? Because they don't want to give us the answers that we are looking for. Because in my opinion, they were not supposed to be arrested in the first place, It was just supposed to be something that brings a disruption to the nation, and then Dr. Nandi and Thabo Besta ran away never to be found, So this brings us to the question, why were they then arrested? You know what I mean? So the answer to that, Peggy Cele and the rest of the crew were not the only people looking for Thabo Besta and Dr. Nandi Pamagodumana. That is where the whole thing started. Remember Interpol, the security company that allegedly helped to track down Thabo Besta, and then the ADT is another security company that had a hand. You remember they had a 10,000 giveaway for somebody who can give them, information as to where Thabo Besta and Dr. Nandi Pamagodumana were. So the interference of these two companies and made the whole cover-up story to just go left. So now it's a cover-up gone wrong, because apparently Dr. Nandipa and Thabo Besta were not supposed to be apprehended. They were not supposed to be caught. You know what I mean? They're in Tanzania. So now what they have to do is they have to do damage control. So all the things that they're doing, the stories that they're trying to come up with, it's just for them to say to Dr. Nandipa, we got your back. We're never going to let you go to jail. We're going to do everything in our powers to make sure that you go home. G4S messed up, so it is only, reasonable for another company that is a security company to step up and say, wait a minute, I can do a better job. You know what I mean? Yes. So that is my take on this thing. So the Interpol and the other security companies that tried their best, volunteered and went out and tracked Thabo Besta, did not do any justice for the SAPS. You know what I mean? So the SAPS had to come and play along. You know what I mean? Because if they didn't do that, it was then going to look obvious that, oh my God, it's obvious that they didn't want to find her and all of that and what's not. So Thabo Besta and Dr. Nandi Pamagodumana, because of the help of the other entities, the other security companies which are privately owned, they were then tracked down. Obviously, with the help of the Tanzanian police, they were arrested. So all I'm trying to say is, because of the tracking down of the intelligence team, like I've said on my previous video, and then again the interference of other security companies trying to help to track down Thabo Besta and all of that, then they were caught in Tanzania, right? And then Tanzanian authorities had to be called because now then the South African intelligence team and these other security companies could not do the arrest. You cannot arrest anybody in any country without the police of that country, So the authorities of that country was then called to come and do the arrest. Then after they have arrested Thabo Bester and Dr. Nandi Pamakutumana, it was then discovered that actually they are in the country illegal. You know what I mean? It was then discovered that they even have passports, that some of them don't belong to them, and then they are not even stamped and all of that. And then now it understand where I'm going with this thing. So that is how it happened. You know what I mean?
It's been
So let us
explained
continue.
that it was a combination of Interpol, crime intelligence, and everybody directed here, but the people were spotted. It's not very much correct that they were arrested because of entered the country illegal. It was found when they've been arrested that they're in the country illegal. They were found, they were spotted by the people that are working with South Africa, and they were followed as they leave the hotel in this black SUV, and they were heading for the border of the other country. They were leaving the Tanzania.
So like I've said, they were arrested on their way out of Tanzania. So it means it was easy for them to come in. Illegally so, So it means they've bribed somebody, and then they've bribed their way in Tanzania, and then they stayed in the Tanzania for some couple of days. Now they are caught, and then unfortunately they are returned to South Africa, and then Dr. Nandi Pamakotumana is coming with the stories to say, I was wrongfully arrested and all of that. Forget about that, Dr. Nandipa. We are not focusing at that at the moment. How about we discuss how about we discuss the men you threw on the river? How about we discuss the insurances you claimed? How about we discuss last year April, where were you? What were you doing? You know what I mean? How about we discuss the francation that you were doing with Thabo Bester, your relationship with him? How about we discuss the affidavit and your visit to Thabo Bester's mother, telling her that you have kids with Thabo Bester and all of that? How about we, discuss things like that? You know what I mean? Because it doesn't make sense. Now she wants to be released. For what? And who? And why? Because if we release her because of how she was arrested, then we will have to arrest her because of the things she's done. So I don't know how the intelligence inside her mind works, but then otherwise, it is what it is. We're talking about Dr. Nandi Pamakotumana. Akere, she has friends in high places, that are trying to make sure to say, you know what, we have messed up. You were not supposed to be caught, but then now, the damage is done. Now we have to do the damage control, and then this is what they do. They give us this kind of drama, which we don't really need, We asked questions. We are saying what happened to Palapala Farm. We are saying what happened to AKA. We are saying what is happening in Eskom. We are saying why is the rent going down every day. We are saying why the inflation rate is always up. We are saying why Brai Peke ya 5 kg ili 300 rand ko Shoprite. Those are the kind of questions we are asking. We are asking why rice ili 210. Go Pick and Pay. Those are the kind of questions that we are asking. But then no, you are giving us the drama Thabo Bester and Dr. Nandi Pamakotumana. You know what I mean? Which is really irrelevant. It's a very irrelevant. Well, look, I know what they have done is massive. In terms of people had been, claimed in musheries, in terms of Bokatleho Bering and all of that. I know that's a big thing. You know what I mean? But this, which that they are giving us, this unfolding drama after drama of the series and everything else, this is not what we need at all. You know what I mean? So they are wasting state resources. But the papers wrote that, the SAPS are reinvestigating the murder of Nelly Tembe. You know what I mean? So what is the meaning of that? You are opening this case up against who exactly? Because the person who was with Nelly Tembe in that room when the whole thing happened had passed on. So now you are opening it against who exactly? And Len Forbes and AKA's mother, they were waiting for the police to give them an update of what happened to AKA. But then, no, what they got is a knock on the door by the police service. You know what I mean? And guess what they said? Mr. and Mrs. Forbes, we are here to inform you that we are reinvestigating the murder of Nelly Tembe. You know what I mean? That's a slap in the face right there. So it means now what they are trying to do is they just putting the nail in the coffin to say, stop, don't ever come back to us and ask us about what happened to AKA, because we're not going to tell you that. You know what I mean? This is to say, the minute you try and ask us about AKA, we are going to ask you about Nelly Tembe. You know what I mean? So it means they are trying to tell us that you shut up about the justice for AKA. Don't ask us about him, because actually, Leyena, he might have removed somebody else. You know what I mean? So these are the answers that we get from the SAPS. What happened to AKA? Who deleted AKA? The answer we get is Dr. Nandi Pamakutumana has run to Tanzania. Now we found her. Now she's crying to say she was abducted. And then, by the way, now we are reopening the Nelly Tembe case. Wow. Wow. Bravo. But then it is what it is. This is South Africa, and everybody, welcome. You know what I mean? Now, ladies and gentlemen, do not forget that all of this is just my opinion. It's how I see things. You know what I mean? Do let me know of what you think on the comment section below. And don't forget that this is a part 3 of the other parts that I have done. So if you have time, go and check my part 2 as well as my part 1 of the cover-up story. Now, thank you for listening. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe.